Hey Anthony, how are you? Good to have you back. All right, we're just starting to get our YouTube right, and then we'll get going. Should be a fairly short one today. We got a few things to talk about, of course. There's a few things going on that we need to know about in the medium term forecast. I just want to make sure that that's working. Yep, looks like YouTube's on. One thing I did miss last time was on our YouTube. Hey Dave, on our YouTube, I accidentally forgot to. No, Trace. I've got a. Well, it's sort of like a short sleeve shirt, so you could. I guess you could sort of see him. I've got a. Yeah, so on our YouTube, last time we missed a super chat and someone paid $10. I feel so bad, and I had no way of returning the money. I didn't end up seeing their super chat, so I got to make sure on YouTube I actually see the super chats to make sure that I do answer them. I don't want people paying money and then not getting their question answered. Hey Sabinator. And right, I think we'll kick off. I think we've got a few people on now. I think we're getting there. All right. There won't be as much interest tonight, of course, because you know what Queenslanders are like. They just go crazy when there's a cyclone around. Now that it's hit, they think it's all over, but it's not. All right. More on that later. So we've got three cyclone signals off the coast of Australia over the course of the next 7 to 10 days. We'll only go 7 to 10 days because if we go longer, there's another signal and then there's another signal, and those signals depend on these three. Okay, so the three that we're talking about, there's a low off the coast of the Pilbara that's going to form around about midweek. There's ex-cyclone Koji, who's going to be around the southern Gulf, and then he's going to come back to North Queensland. And there's another low out here in the eastern Coral Sea that's going to become a cyclone and generally track south. So let's focus on those three signals at once, and keeping an eye on the time. So this is between now and Thursday. We've got a high probability that the low off the Pilbara coast is going to form. We've got a moderate probability that the low is going to be located, ex-Koji is going to be located in there by Thursday. And a very high, almost certainty that there's a Coral Sea low at that time on Thursday. There's also a very small chance that overnight, Wednesday night and Thursday morning, there's a little weak vortex, like a little weak eddy around North Queensland's coastline. We'll have to keep an eye on that. It's not a very compelling case for that one at the moment. Alrighty, moving on into Friday. We've got an almost certain chance of a low off the coast of the Pilbara, tracking in a west-southwest direction. Old Koji on Friday is up here around the Queensland NT border, very close to Morno. Once again, there's a small chance of that little eddy around the North Queensland coastline. We'll have to keep an eye on that. We're also seeing a really high chance of that Coral Sea low beginning to track initially southwest, scaring the bejesus out of the South Queenslanders for sure. All right, as we continue, initially northeast and then southwest. So it goes away from us first and then comes back at us. I'll explain more shortly and it'll make sense. On Saturday, the low off the coast of the Pilbara continues tracking southwest. Koji on Saturday makes a decision. Friday night, Saturday, Koji has to make a decision. He's either going to move into Queensland or he's going to move into the Northern Territory. He's going to have to decide on that day, or in that 12-hour period between Friday night and Saturday morning. Koji has to make a decision as to whether he's going to go over to Darwin or whether he's going to come back over to Townsville. All right, so that's the expectation there on Saturday, and he'll make that decision and start moving that way on Saturday in either direction. I'll explain which direction we think he's going to go shortly. As we go into Sunday, we see the expectation of Koji is either in and around the Joseph Bonaparte Gulf, or Koji is now in and around North Queensland's coastline. Our low/cyclone in the eastern Coral Sea is out there and it's doing its thing, and it's tracking in a general initial south-southwest to southwest direction and then quickly takes a more southerly turn. Our low off the Pilbara coast continues to track in a westerly direction and will probably start weakening at this stage, posing no threat to the Pilbara. As we go into Monday, the expectation here is that the cyclone off the Pilbara will have died and is tracking westwards. Koji is either out here in the Kimberley or out here off Townsville's coastline. And our Coral Sea low should be going out to the graveyard, should be going out to the graveyard. As we go into Tuesday, that low off the Pilbara, dead and buried, gone. Koji could be off the Kimberley coastline. Koji could be well off the North Queensland coastline and following our little cyclone over here to the graveyard. All right, as we go into Wednesday and Thursday, we see more of the same. So if Koji goes off WA, he's going westwards off the coast of WA. If Koji's off the coast of Queensland, he's going eastwards into the abyss, following in the footsteps of his daddy over here, who's going to be travelling southwards. And it could be quite a large system, this one. Could be quite a serious cyclone in the Coral Sea. But once again, there might be some interaction between the two cyclones. The Coral Sea cyclone and Koji might do a little bit of a dance, and that dance might also stop the Coral Sea cyclone from becoming a monster. We'll see how that plays out. It's very early days for now, but that Coral Sea cyclone has a really nice environment to put itself together and become really strong. So that's something we will need to monitor longer term for that one. But as I say, at this stage, everything points to that thing going out to the graveyard, giving some wicked surf to southeast Queenslanders. Alrighty, so that's the summary. Let's quickly get over to WA because I don't want the WA folk to sit through 20 minutes of Queensland just to get 2 minutes of WA. So let's quickly go over to WA. By the way, our major sponsor on the top left, Fair Income Builds Townsville. We thank them for their sponsorship. We couldn't do what we do without them. And we also thank people who choose to go up there on the top right, weatheriq.com.au/subscribe. And join us at $32.95 a year. You get all my forecasts during the wet season. None of this becomes a surprise. You're never surprised by weather in the wet season if you're a subscriber. And you can see here today's forecast. We've already talked about everything we're going to talk about tonight. We've already done it. They already know all this stuff. And we've also done a Queensland forecast. We focused today on central Queensland, especially central inland Queensland. Today's forecast also for southeast Queensland, Mackay again, Cairns, Townsville, the Gulf and northwest Queensland. All right, so they were our forecasts today. Tomorrow, Tuesdays and Fridays, we do NT and WA as well. So $32.95, we thank you for your support if you can. If you can't, just join us here in these lives and participate. All right, so let's quickly go over to this WA one. Why are we so keen on the WA one just buggering off and we're not real interested? Well, we've got really good model agreement, but it's no point just showing you models without an understanding of why there's good model agreement. So I can show you this quickly, and you can see quickly there's no sign whatsoever of that system coming back at the coast, all right? So it's all going out to sea. And you can see here the ensemble from the Euro, same. System going out to sea, expected to stay relatively weak. There's a couple of models that sort of develop it a bit, but most of all, I think there's a lot of dry air in there, and there's even more dry air as we get into the weekend, so I can't see it really getting itself together. Look, it might become a marginal system, and if it does, it'll continue this really fast start to the cyclone season that we've had. We're on track for one of the record cyclone seasons so far, so that keeps going. Could be a really big day. It could be a really big year. All right, so that's that one. Just quickly, just why are we so confident? Let me show you some actual reasons why we're so confident rather than just the models. I mean, we've got to use the models to do it, but just so you're aware why we're so supremely confident. We don't normally get this confident, but when we're this confident, we know this is going to happen. So what we're looking for here is we'll use the 500 hectopascal winds. That's the easiest way to explain it to you. Right, 500s. All right, so we're looking here about 6-7 Ks up in the atmosphere. Now, what you can see here across WA is a big ridge, big high pressure ridge right here through the 500 hectopascal level. So what this is going to do, it's going to make sure that anything that forms on the northern side of it is going to move in a west-southwest direction. And then the expectation is that ridge ain't going anywhere. There's a little trough here in the next couple of days that sort of just weakens the western side of that ridge, but then the ridge quickly rebuilds and we see anything that forms on that northern side of the ridge, which is our low over here, is pushing away quickly to the west-southwest. So there's no real evidence to suggest that there's going to be any interest anywhere near the coast of WA from this thing. The ridge is pretty solid. There's a little bit of an upper trough to start the proceedings on Tuesday, Wednesday. So if that low starts to develop, as soon as it starts to develop, there might be a slight easterly motion, and then suddenly, as it develops any sort of vertical height, that mid-level ridge will build in place underneath it, and will take it away to the southwest. Very, very confident. Nothing more to talk about there, I don't think. All right, if you've got any questions about it, let me know, but I can't imagine you're going to have any questions about it. It's very, very clear what this one's going to do. All righty. Okay, let's get over to the Coral Sea system, and that one's very important. Well, it's very important because it's probably the first traditional Coral Sea cyclone we've got. Traditional in every sense, as in it gets quite strong, but it also gets quite quick, gets moving quite quickly to the graveyard. All right, so let's have a look. Once again, we're looking at our 500 hectopascal level. We don't care about the strength of the system this early. We're going to get that wrong, so we don't even try. All right? So the idea here is we're looking at our 500 hectopascal wind flows to try and figure out what's going to be trying to steer it. Once we figure out what's going to steer it, then we can start looking at, how strong could it be and all that sort of jazz. We don't care about how strong it could be at the moment. All we care about is to make sure that we can rule out a Queensland coastal crossing. And I'm reasonably confident that we can do that even at this early stage, but I'm not there at 100% yet, but I'm pretty confident. All right, so what we've got here is a mid-level ridge that breaks down over the course of the next couple of days, and that mid-level ridge to the south will break down, and then there's a fairly significant little trough that comes up and drives the cyclone in a northeast direction. So there's our cyclone, and it drives it in a northeast direction, which is quite a strange little direction for cyclones to move in the southern hemisphere, and drives it northeast, and then it then we start to get that trough weakens completely, gone, and we then get a little ridge that builds in underneath. All right, so that then induces a slight southwest or west-southwest motion. So see how it starts to move west? And this is the part where all the Yahoo pages are going to go crazy about it and tell you about all this crap about the cyclone whacking the coast and continuing on and all that bullshit that you're going to hear on the media. So this cyclone does develop. We're pretty confident it's going to develop, and it's in a pretty nice environment. When we take a look at some of the environmental factors out there, we can see here the 700, 400 hectopascal moisture levels, beautiful moisture levels. A bit of dry air up here, but that's not going to be able to wrap in because the cyclone's going to be able to grab this deep layer moisture from the northeast. And the reason it's able to grab that is when we take a look once again at our steering, we'll notice that there's a fairly significant ridge on the eastern side. So that ridge is going to help to drive that moisture into the cyclone. All right, so this ridge tries to build underneath, right? So at this stage, alarm bells for Queensland because the thing's starting to move west, right? Big alarm bells for Queensland. Now, what happens? The usual happens. The ridge takes this thing west, and then suddenly we develop an upper trough. So we've got a combination now of a ridge out here in the east. Now look at where the ridge is, and remember, what does the ridge do? It drives a cyclone it drives the flow in an anticyclonic way. So that means if the cyclone's west of the ridge is going to drive the cyclone southwards, right? Have a look at where the arrows are coming from. They're coming from north to south. All right, so there we go, north to south. So the system is moving in a general southerly direction. Now on top of that, we're then at the moment, around about Wednesday, Thursday of next week, we develop an upper trough over Queensland and we push that out to the Coral Sea. And the combination of the Fijian ridge and the Coral Sea trough takes this southwards and should take it out to New Zealand. If the Coral Sea trough doesn't come, then the ridge itself will drive it southwards, but the cyclone might get a lot closer to the coast, all right? And then once again, the shit media is going to go crazy about it and talk about cyclones whacking the coast again, all right? So the idea is we're definitely confident about where the ridge is going to be, right? We're confident that part. The upper trough over Queensland could be maybe a little bit later, could be a little bit earlier. There's a little bit of doubt about the timing of that upper trough, but overall, everything that we're seeing points to a system that moves initially northeast, remember that weird motion, then the next set of motion is a westerly one towards the coast, not for long, because then the ridge builds up on the eastern side and then drives the cyclone southwards. Now, one thing that cyclones in the Coral Sea they really love this, is to be on the western side of a ridge. So when they start moving south, they tend to intensify fairly quickly if they're on the western side of a ridge and just ahead of an upper trough. So this period in here, my system's just lagging a little bit. All right, so this period in here where we're west of the ridge, just there, we're west of the ridge, and we haven't got the upper trough yet. So at this point, the system's intensifying slowly. All right, so just a slow and gradual intensification. Now, where it gets really strong really quickly is when we enhance that flow through the upper trough development over Queensland. And then we get this beautiful outflow channel on the south side, and cyclones in the Coral Sea love that shit. What happens though is that the Queensland, old Koji over there, could be throwing a spanner in the works, because at that time, Koji's coming off the coast. I'll explain what Koji's doing shortly, otherwise I'll confuse you. But anyway, if Koji comes off the coast, that might stop the cyclone from developing on its western flank. So it might be a really dominant eastern flank cyclone, all right? So understand that this is a highly favourable environment for a Coral Sea cyclone. West of an upper ridge, east of an upper trough. Beautiful environment for Coral Sea cyclones, and there hasn't been too many in the history of Coral Sea cyclones that haven't intensified fairly quickly in that type of environment. Wind shear at the time obviously is a factor, but once again, we've got so much outflow that's going to offset some of the wind shear that may be taking place. So let's try and have a look at that. Tropical cyclone shear. Yeah, so the system's going to be lying in a low to moderate shear environment. That's going to be offset by the motion. So that it's a northerly shear profile. That's going to be offset by the speed of motion. Listen, that cyclone is free to intensify as long as Koji isn't a nuisance. Koji might be a nuisance. Okay, so that's our system here. Let's have a quick look at the models just to make sure that I'm not BSing you. But listen, there's no point looking at the models if we don't understand the mechanisms in play, all right? We can look at as many models as we want. If we don't understand the mechanisms in play, we're just going to run with whatever model we want, and we can't explain it. That's the difference between the Yahoo pages, who'll just show you the models, and the pages that really understand what's going on, which is one of ours. We understand what's going on here, all right? We can interpret what the model's doing, and then we can go, you know what? That's bullshit. It's not going to happen. All right, or we can go, no, that's got a lot of merit. All right, that comes from the understanding. That comes from studying the meteorology. All right, so here we go. Righto, so we've got that northerly. So here, we got that initial northeasterly motion. Then you can see the model just wants to take it straight southeast. I don't think it's going to take it straight southeast. I reckon there's going to be a little bit of a westerly jut, and then we're going to go south-southeast. All right, so that's what I think is going to happen. So slightly different to what the model's showing you there is what I'm anticipating. But once again, the modelling is telling us in every case, every single case, not one model member pulls the cyclone back to the west towards the coast. All right, and the brand new experimental stuff, let's have a look at what it does. Right, so you can see northeast or north-northeast motion, a little bit of a jut to the west. Yep, that's all I'm expecting, just a little bit of a jut to the west, and then straight down to the south and southeast. All right, once again, 0 model member solutions that bring it onto the coast. Not one model member solution brings it onto the coast. All right, not a single one. So once again, motion expectation, northeast. I'm expecting maybe a touch more northeast here rather than the north, and then a little bit of a jut to the west. Begins to intensify, scares the bejesus, and you know what's going to happen. All the stupid media outlets are going to go crazy, and then some of you newbies are going to start sharing that shit. Don't share that shit. That's how they make money, by sharing that garbage. All right. So then what we're expecting is that southerly motion. Now this is preliminary, right? We can't 100% guarantee, even though the models are 100% on board with this, we can't 100% guarantee that that's going to happen, because this low is in its formative stages. We need to see things begin to play out first, and then we know that, yep, we're on the right track, or maybe there's something there that we didn't see that starts to take place, right? So those things can still happen in this preliminary stage. This is going to be a proper cyclone. It's not going to be one of those bullshit cyclones that we just had, all right? This is going to be a properly structured system, okay, not this garbage thing with a wind field that's 600 kilometres and 200 kilometres from the centre. All right, this is going to be a properly formed cyclone, proper structure, and it should be easier to map and model once we get it to form properly, okay? So I don't think we're going to see too many surprises with this one. I think it's going to be pretty clear-cut. Anyway, that's this one. Right, let's get over to our garbage system, the one that hit the coast the other day. Oh, goodness me, this one's still going to cause us nightmares, you watch. All right, let's have a look. Now, we don't have really good guidance on this because, we don't have really good model guidance on this because the whole thing's a gibbering mess, and it's been like that its whole life, and it's still like that right now. We might use the Euro model, and I don't like using the Euro model because the Euro model is very biased towards a westerly moving system. Whenever we get systems in the Gulf, the Euro model is hell-bent on just driving them west. Doesn't matter. There could be the most massive upper trough in the Central Australia, and the Euro model doesn't care. It just drives them west and forms them off the Kimberley every time. It's like, come on, man. And this is what it was doing 24 hours ago. It was driving the bloody thing westwards, even though there was an upper trough right over Western Queensland. It's like, come on, use your brain. Anyway. It's our only physics-based model that has captured this system, and you can see it's split. So you can see it's split, about 50-50. 50 going this way, 50 going this way. All right? Let's have a look at the upper pattern because that's no good to us. All right? We can't make any sort of decision based on that garbage. All right? And that's why we're really looking forward to hopefully getting this experimental modelling to sort of see this system and try and get it, because the experimental modelling is doing a much better general job at this stuff than the Euro Ensemble. And the Euro Ensemble's been our number one go-to, right? So just understand that our number one go-to, that's the same model that had that silly cyclone crossing up around Cape Melville, all the way down to Mackay, even missing the coast in some members. So you can understand what we've been dealing with the last 10, 20 years and how leaps and bounds ahead we're starting to move now with the AI experimental stuff from Google. Right. Let's go back over here and let's have a look at our 500 hectopascal wind fields. And we're going to use the AI models for this because I think the AI models will do a better job. And the skill scores of the AI models when it comes to upper level patterns are so much better than anything we've ever had. So that's why we're going to use the AI for this forecast. All right, so here's our 500 hectopascal wind flows. And the next couple of days, pretty clear cut. There's a big ridge. That same ridge that's driving that WA system away is going to drive old, what's his name again? Koji out here to the northwest, right? So this is bad news for northwest Queensland because it's going to give them rain. Now, at this point in time, you can see here old Koji is just sort of stuffing around the Gulf. And the reason he's stuffing around is because this ridge over here in WA doesn't quite extend all the way across through Queensland. So it can't just grab it and yank it up into Darwin, which is what the Euro model is telling us is going to happen. It's just going to yank it up into Darwin. Like, okay, I can see that. If the cyclone moves a long way west in the next 24 to 48 hours, let's say it's over here, then yeah, that's got a lot of merit. But it's not going to be over there. It's going to be over here. All right, so the idea is over the next 48 hours, that system then begins to stall. Now, watch what's happening down here through Victoria. There's just a little bit of a trough system that's starting to amplify northwards. So as we go, this little trough system amplifies a little bit, just a little bit, and that holds the cyclone in play for another day. All right, so it stops it from just going off to Darwin, stops it. Look how close it is to going to Darwin, though. So do you see why we've got a 50-50 split? If the cyclone's an extra 300-400 K west, off it goes to Darwin. All right, but because it's where it is, and because there's no strong ridging through Queensland, and there's a weak upper trough through Queensland, that is going to hold the cyclone from moving away. Only if the cyclone doesn't move too far west in the next 2 days. So when we talk Wednesday night, we'll have a lot of clarity about what the cyclone's doing. Today, we're still leaving the option open for the cyclone to duck off to Darwin because we understand if it gets too far to the west in the next 2 days, then yeah, that still could happen. All right, but If the cyclone is where it is there, there's no choice. It has to, from here, move in an easterly direction. Why? This upper trough amplifies northwards, grabs it on the weekend, and away we go, washes out the Goldfield ashes, and out it goes off to the Coral Sea. Now, as I said, the Coral Sea should see a very significant cyclone in the eastern Coral Sea, and what we're then interested is perhaps if this little piddly thing comes into the Coral Sea, could it deflect the other cyclone off its path? Probably not, because it's going to be small. What sort of interaction will they have? It might accelerate the cyclone offshore and absorb it into its circulation. That cyclone in the Coral Sea looks like a real monster cyclone, and it looks like it'll stay out there. It doesn't look like it'll come in, and I don't think this low is going to be strong enough to create a Fujiwara interaction where they're both dancing around each other and it sort of brings the Coral Sea cyclone into the coast. For that to happen, this cyclone here would have to be much stronger and much larger to create that pivot point around Willis Island to bring this cyclone into the coast. I don't think that's going to happen unless our cyclone becomes really strong the moment it gets off the coast of Cairns. All right, so there's our three systems. There's what we expect to see. There's why we expect to see them. If you want to know more, make sure you check out our subscription service at weatheriq.com.au/subscribe, and we talk about all those technical factors every single time. All right, so all of that has already been explained to the subs. In fact, I think I explained that yesterday to them, and then I reiterated it today. So that's what you get for $32.95 a year. As well as that, if you'd like to support us with the full membership, with all the weather graphics and stuff, that's $69.95 a year. So thank you very much for those of you that can. All right, I'm going to go to questions now. I'm going to make sure that I get any questions that I've got from. One thing I forgot. I had to talk about rain. All right. Quickly. We'll talk about rain and then I'll go to questions. Sorry. Right, so rainfall is going to be dependent on Queensland rainfall. I'm talking specifically here because there's not much going on in the other states. So Queensland rainfall going to be specifically dependent on the cyclone moving west, stalling, and then coming back to the east, and how quickly that process takes place. All right, so total accumulated rainfall by the time the cyclone gets back towards the Queensland coast could be around 200 to 400 millimetres around North Queensland. Could be around another couple of hundred mils around central Queensland. This is on top of the stuff you've already got. That's probably the likelihood scenario if the cyclone does move east, right? Now, the problem is going to be this northern interior, the Flinders catchment. If we get another 200 to 400 there between now and, what's that, Wednesday? Let's go to Tuesday. Between now and Tuesday night, we're talking about some serious further flooding and further river rises through that area. It's not a good situation. Hopefully this doesn't quite happen the same way it's being predicted to. Notice that the western extension of that rainfall is east of Mount Isa around Cloncurry to about Normanton. So anyone east of Cloncurry to Normanton, basically a north-south line, sees quite a bit of rain. Anyone to the west of that sees a pretty sharp little rain gradient. GFS-AI model over the next 7 days is going to reflect that same sort of thing. A little bit less aggressive with the rainfall, so that's a little bit more manageable. 1 to 200 instead of 2 to 400. But what we found so far in the preliminary studying of the GFS-AI is that it does underestimate rainfall a little bit. So we do need to take that into account as well. But that's some pretty solid rain over a very large area of central and northern Queensland. Still to come between now and next, what's today? Monday. Next Monday. All right, so it doesn't happen all in one go, but it happens over time. And especially once the cyclone starts to move eastwards again, we're probably expecting to see quite a significant amount of rainfall as it starts to interact with the Coral Sea again. And then beyond that, by the way, for those of you wondering, is there any follow-up rain? Probably not. Once this system moves offshore, we're going to have a little bit of quiet time. All right, at this stage, it doesn't look like there's anything on the cards after this system can get offshore. Now, if this is where things go a little bit pear-shaped. If this goes west towards Darwin, then yeah, it does open up more rainfall possibilities towards the back half of the month, all right? But if it goes east and off the coast, our big rain should be done for the month. We shouldn't be at a stage where we're getting a hell of a lot more rain towards the back end of the month. It's going to take a long time to get our moisture back, considering we're going to have a cyclone in the eastern Coral Sea, a big one in the eastern Coral Sea going away, and we're going to have a little cyclone taking any residual moisture away as well. So I can't imagine the moisture is going to return into the state for a long time after those two go away. All right, so that's our GFS. Let's have a look at some of our numerical weather prediction models. So these are our physics-based models. These are our traditional models, these ones. And you can see here that as we go into Sunday, we've got very significant rain in the Cape. This model tends to overestimate rainfall a little bit. Very significant rainfall over the Gulf, I should say, not the Cape. And you can see there quite a lot of 50 to 150 millimetre type falls through northern interiors, through the central coastal region. You can see 100 pluses, through northeast Queensland, 50 to 100s. So this model here wants to keep the cyclone further to the west for a little bit longer. So see how it keeps it out towards the Gulf? Doesn't really move it eastwards yet. The upper trough is only just starting to capture it there on Saturday night, Sunday, I think. Or it's still stationary there. So it's one of those models that just wants to hold it in play. That's a really bad case scenario for the Gulf. We hope that doesn't happen. It's a small chance, but it's only a small chance for now. And unless it becomes a big chance, I don't think we'll study it for now, and we'll just hope it doesn't happen. Accumulated precip here between now and Saturday on the icon model. You can see that same thing that the AI models are going for. So the icon and the AI is very similar there for those big falls around the southern Flinders, around the upper Flinders, I should say, catchment. And generally speaking, moderate to heavy falls throughout most of the east coast in the north. You can see this very significant little surface trough off the coast of southeast Queensland too right now, creating some heavy rain, or will create some heavy rain, but most likely off the coast. And Bureau of Meteorology's model, another one that gets a little bit of a hypochondriac, when it comes to rainfall. And you can see there between now and Monday, pretty similar to the AIs, isn't it? 1 to 200s over large areas, 50 to 150s in these areas, and 200s around the central coast and the southern North Queensland coast. So, there's pretty good agreement there about the rainfall. It just comes down to some of the particulars about the cyclone now. And the last one, what was the last one? Oh, the Euro, of course. I forgot to even look at the number one model. So this is our number one physics-based model. This is the European. As I said to you, the European does have a propensity to drive cyclones westwards for no reason. And in this situation, we can see the Euro model is not doing that. So that sort of corrected itself there. So it realises that there's an upper trough, and it realises the chances of this just going off to Darwin scot-free, probably small. All right, still there, but probably smaller than it initially estimated. So you can see there, significant rainfall around the Gulf, significant rainfall around northern inland and central inland Queensland. This is rainfall still to come, not rainfall that's already fallen, still to come between now and next Monday. All righty, now I'm done. Now I'll go to some questions. I'll have a look first at YouTube and see if we've got any super chats. They're the people that pay money. I definitely don't want to miss one of those again. Okay, no super chats there, so we don't need to. Yep, right, cool. No super chats there. Alrighty, let's go to our others. All right. No guns tonight. No, I've already answered that one. Howdy, Nitso from FNQ. Hey, Cassie, good. Thanks for joining us. Shane Squire, Nitso's voice is the new sound of summer, similar to Richie. Chew for 22. Is that how it goes? Something like that. No, I love Richie. You know what's sad about Richie, Shane? That was the last year of the Richies. That SCG, the guy who was organising the Richies, said he's not going to do the Richies anymore. That's pretty sad. That's been a feature of so many SCG tests. Anyway, Mr. Buckaroony, Muggy as buggery in Innisfail today got the yard mode. Yeah, good stuff. I'm on the Gold Coast. I've already stocked up with shit paper just in case. Mate, I'll tell you what, learn how to surf, because you guys are going to get some wicked surf once that big cyclone happens in the eastern Coral Sea. Hey, Joan from Ingham. Hey, Nitso, been absolutely torrential rain out here in Pentland. We've had 9 millimetres in around 72. Smart ass Avinator. Yeah, unfortunately, mate, that rain's to the south of you. It's been torrential south of you. There's been falls well in excess of 100 millimetres south of you, but south of you, not over. One of the key features of this thing, right, was always going to be, it's always going to produce south. Daddy who, daddy guns. Stop it, Anthony. It's surprisingly quite windy at Harvey Bay. No, that's not a surprise, is it? I'm wondering why you're surprised. I think because there's a trough, right? So let's go back over here. So there's a little trough that's forming off the coast. So this is why Harvey Bay is windy. So yeah, see this little thing here? See this? I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you should be able to see my cursor there. Who said Alana? Yeah, so see that little thing there? That's our trough, right? And you're just south of it on Harvey Bay. So you can see there's a fairly strong little southeaster. Oh, yeah, 25 to 30 knots. Gusts up to probably 35 to 40. So there's some serious southeasterlies going there because there's a little trough and the possibility of a little east coast low forming overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. Right, so it's not that surprising that you're getting some pretty big winds. Look, the good thing about that is it's going to stay offshore, so we're not going to see the 300 mils that comes with one of those if it got onshore. So with strong winds, yes, and they'll probably stick around for most of tomorrow. And then as the cyclone, as that little east coast low moves away, it looks as though the southeasterlies are going to stay for a little bit, and then they'll bugger off as well towards the back end of the week. But yeah, I'm not too surprised to say that Harvey Bay is getting big winds. Pretty wet up in the Atherton Tablelands. Yeah, you got a little weak gusty storm there, Liz. Hillary, can you make any comments about the Coral Sea system or about Norfolk Island? I really haven't looked at Norfolk, to be honest. Any comments I'd make would be unintelligent. And it's too early, way too early. I mean, Norfolk's very, very small. Very, very small. And, let's have a quick look. And I'm not going to give you any sort of estimates about, what impacts it's going to have. But I want you to understand how small Norfolk is. So that's how small Norfolk is, right? But have a look at the range of tracks. I can't intelligently and with any sort of certainty give you any idea about Norfolk Island, Hillary. And if I did, I'd be talking out of my arse. And that's not what anyone wants, all right? So here, look, if it comes down Norfolk, when's the earliest? Probably next Tuesday, Wednesday. When do we expect it? Probably Wednesday, Thursday. But, oh man, there's like a 1,500 kilometre diameter of tracks there. Could be up to 1,500 k's away from Norfolk. So, trying to tell you what it might or might not do for Norfolk, man, I don't want to do that to you because all I'd be doing is lying. All right, Melzy, hey Nitso, as usual, it's great to hear from your explanation. Great stuff. Thanks for joining us, Melzy. Chris, who's messaging me there? I might put them on do not disturb. All right. Random question, is low 95p or 14U low doing anything? I'm not sure what 95p is, but 14U is the one we're talking about right here on your screen right now, mate. So that's, yeah, so pineapple, we've already talked about that one, bud. That's the one on your screen right now. All right. Yeah, I've already blasted some Facebook fearmongers, told them to sub to you. Yeah, that'll go down like a house on, that'll go down like a ton of bricks, mate. They'll end up just banning you. Yeah, look, we get the shits. And you know what? Some of those pages subscribe to us, and so you'd think they'd be getting the right information and passing it on, but they don't. They pass on whatever sells their friggin' whatever, they don't sell subscriptions as such, but they sell monetized views, right? So you view something, you share it with your mate because you're a newbie and you don't get it, and you just go, that's a pretty picture, we're all going to get effed up. So we share it with everyone else, and bang, that page makes $500 for that post. All right, so it's in their best interest to hype shit up and make you crazy, and then make you share it with all your newbie mates, and then all your newbie mates end up sharing it. This is why we call a lot of folks normies, because the normies don't know better. They expect the pages to know better, and the pages should know better, but a lot of them do it because they know how much money they can make. Mad Mumsy, thanks Nitso. We were hammered here at Collegio Callan on the weekend. Yes, lost power. Yeah, you did. Watch your member updates, boo. So couldn't watch your member updates. Okay, I was very surprised how fast our St. Helens Creek came up. Yeah, it was a big couple of days. Let's have a look there. Merged accumulations for Mackay. Let's do it. This is thanks to WeatherWatch. They've got a lovely professional interface here where you can go through and have a look at So that's our 3-day rain accumulation. Now, I'm not sure exactly where Kalen is. Is it on there? No. I'm not sure exactly where you are, but you can see there where the 3-day rainfall totals are for the region. So there's a lot of 200s. So I'll just zoom in there. There's a lot of, up here around Prossie, there was a 400. So this is just over the last 3 days. There's a 647 in there. And there's a lot of 2 to 400s here. On the ranges is where the biggest stuff happened. And down around Serena, down towards Camilla, there's been big rain down there. It often goes unnoticed, eh? Those ranges can do some big stuff down there. And they often get overshadowed by what happens sort of west of Mackay. But don't get me wrong, those folks down there have had some serious bloody rain. That sometimes, as I say, it goes unnoticed down that way. So there's been, big numbers. But look, I'm not going to say we didn't expect it, right? This was always ground zero. And those of you who are subscribers to me, you knew that this was always ground zero for us. Didn't matter whether the cyclone hit Ingham, whether the cyclone hit Cairns, whether the cyclone hit Townsville, this was always going to be ground zero. The Whitsundays, Mackay. I think I was saying for a week now, a week before it hit, the hottest ticket in town is going to be Mackay and Whitsundays. And it ended up being that way. We don't say shit like that unless we're sure. All right. All right. Pineapple. If 14U, very high chance to hit Townsville due to the pressure. No. 14U does not have high chance of hitting Townsville. No, that's not how it works, mate. The vacuum. Yeah. So if you're thinking about it in your terms, where you're thinking about a vacuum, wouldn't it make more sense that old mate Koji, so I'm talking to Pineapple here, is saying if I'm 14U, I have a very high chance to hit Townsville due to the pressure of Townsville being 997 right now, which acts like a vacuum for 14U. So by Wednesday, it should bounce off the high near Tassie. No, that's not how... I explained how it all works there, Pineapple. I explained the process of what happens there. But in your vacuum idea, wouldn't it make more sense that Koji would be pulled into the vacuum of 14U, because 14U is going to be the bigger, stronger, much bigger and much stronger system? I mean, using your logic, 14U should be taking Koji in. Townsville will have no impact whatsoever on 14U. But yeah, using that logic that you're using, it would make sense that Koji goes into 14U, not the other way around, man. But yeah, the other stuff, just go back and have a look at why the cyclone's going to move, which way it's going to move. Remember, the ridge over Fiji, it's going to drive it southwards, and then the upper trough over Queensland is going to give it a bit of a southeast tinge. So we talked about that, mate. Go back to the start, have a look. All right, Tina, cheers for this, mate. No worries, Tina. Thanks for joining. Leonie, you crack me up, Nitso, but I have much respect for you. That's pretty much what everyone says to me. They like the forecasts. Rissa, yeah, don't share it. I enjoy shopping when the shelves haven't been stripped. I think it's going to take them a while to get the shops back up and running. I think I went today and there were still shelves bare. Smashing it, Nitso. Hope you're well, man. Hey, Rob. Rob's an old school friend of mine. Hey, Rob. Good to see you, mate. Leanne, thanks, Nitso. No worries, Leanne. Camo. Cheers, mate. No worries. Cheers. As always, explained beautifully. Thanks, Steve. It's that Coral Sea is always complicated, right? Because you got stuff out near Fiji, which is moving systems. You got stuff over Queensland and Central Australia, which is moving systems. Sometimes you got a big ridge over PNG or the equatorial Pacific, and that's driving things. The Coral Sea is always a little bit tricky because there's so many things around it that drive it. They're hardly ever easy. The last easy one I had was Yazi. I mean, that was piss easy. You could see that coming, 3 weeks out? And that was back when we had shit models, right? And we still saw that 3 weeks out. Granted, we saw it hitting Brisbane at the start, and then we saw it hitting the Cape at the start. But then, it all sort of come good 2 weeks out, and we could see it was about to smash us. But that was the last easy one track, nothing else to it. Just it was going to move that direction, and nothing was going to change it. WA, I mean, it's almost every second system is like that. So WA is much, much easier than Queensland to forecast for. This one in a couple of days, it's piss easy because there's only one thing steering it, nothing else. Queensland, hardly ever like that. So it's such a mess. Koji, what a menace. Yeah. A cousin to Oswald. Oswald was a bastard of a system too. Patrick, very wet down in Claremont, mate. Yes. Yeah, and it is the biggest day they have seen. They're not lying to you. They've had over 200 millimetres in a day. And I'll just go over here, check them out. Emerald. So Claremont, big stuff, Patrick. Last 3 days of rain. Well, last 2 days of rain. And I'll take the actual numbers as well, because sometimes the radar data will misinterpret it. Where are we? Claremont. Up here. Yeah, 247 mils. Huge day, and most of that fell in like a 1 day period. It was insane. That they don't get that sort of rain. That's almost half a year's worth of rain in a day there, right? So they average about 500-ish, I think, off the top of my head, 500 and something. 240 in a day. That's ridiculous numbers. And that whole region, Pat, has done very, very well. So. Yeah, like Charters Towers was just too far north, so's Pentland, so's the Flinders Highway. Anything on the Flinders Highway was just a touch too far north. But anything south of there just got caned, absolutely caned. Look at Dysart, 238. Most of that fell in 1 day as well. So, yeah, big stuff down there, Pat. Sheila, thanks so much, Nitzo, no worries. Andrew, hey, Nitzo, you were spot on with the storms and rain of Gordonvale last night. I don't remember talking about storms and rain in Gordonvale. I'll take it, but I don't remember saying it. Oh, maybe there were some little gusty, scuddy cells. Maybe that's what you mean. Yeah, I know I was spot on today with Cairns, because we said that there was going to be a little scuddy shower around Cairns. That whole Tablelands district will get a scuddy little shower or storm, and I know we got that right. I don't think... I'm just having a look. Yeah, you can see that little scuddy shower coming into Cairns. Right, for Gordonvale tonight, well, if you missed out on this, I don't know how many more chances you're going to get tonight. I mean, you might get the tail edge of this still. Yeah, you still got a chance at the tail edge of this. Look at this. A couple of little spots of rain coming through Gordonvale right now. I mean, yeah, sure. You might get that, mate. Oh, yeah, there's a little bit of a chance there over... tomorrow morning, maybe tomorrow morning, something coming through early in the morning. So we got this one at night now, and then maybe something in the morning for Gordonvale. I'm not too fussed on it though. Like I'm not getting wowed by anything. So yeah, don't hold me to it. There's not like a clear and obvious big cell coming over Gordonvale at the moment, man. Like yeah, you might get one of these little scuddy showers come through, but it's no big deal. Hillary, can you make any comments about System 14U? Hillary, I just spent like 15 minutes talking about it, bud. Have a look, bud. Have a look back. Have a look back and you'll see we talked about it. This may activate more LGAs for community recovery. Keep an eye on the Queensland Government website. I love working there. No worries, Bridget. What's the chance of intensification if Koji gets off the coast? I don't think it matters, Maz, to be honest. I mean, if Koji's getting off the coast, it's getting off the coast and it's motoring away, right? Even if it intensifies. Let's have a look. I genuinely don't think this one matters, to be honest, but let's have a look just in case I'm wrong. Right, so there it is. Tracks east. Yeah, see, it won't intensify quick because this monster cyclone in the Coral Sea is going to be hogging everything, right? Hogging all the energy, and it won't want to share. So, you know... maybe if it gets off the coast, you get some gusty southerlies over the Cairns district. And then this cyclone will pull it south with it, right? So that's what I'd be expecting. It's the monster cyclone in the Coral Sea I'd be keeping an eye on to make sure that doesn't do anything silly. At the moment, we're pretty keen on what it's going to do, but remember, it hasn't formed yet, so we can only be a certain level of confident before something forms. We need to wait until it forms before we can be proper confident. Wayne, hey Nitzo, we finally got some wind today up here in Red Lynch, Cairns. Oh yeah, the downslopes. Yeah. We were predicting the downslopes for 2 nights. We didn't get it right last night. I don't think they happened. And if they happened, no one told us about them. Last night into this morning, yeah, that was real. Last 2 nights ago was maybe And I went with, oh yeah, it could happen. So I said, yeah, no, that could/should happen. It didn't happen. Last night was clear and obvious, and I said, yeah, this will happen tonight. All right, and usually with that sort of thing, models aren't wrong to what's the name 2 times in a row with those. So sometimes I'll get 1 wrong, but they won't get 2 wrong. Will we get it in Hervey Bay? I'm not sure what you mean, Jade. You're not going to get anything in Hervey Bay except for a bit of wind and maybe a couple of showers. Hi from Mackay. Hi Nairi. Hope you're okay. Hope you're dry, and hope you didn't get blown away in that Cat 1 cyclone. Stacey, thanks again, Nitto. It's been more humid than I have ever felt in Cairns. Yeah, it would feel that way for sure. Yeah, bloody humid in Ipswich. Nitso, we are loving the good soaking rain at Bundy. 55 mils. That's good at Bundy. I wasn't expecting that much. I was thinking 20, 30. Oh, up to 9 a.m. No, okay. Up to 9 a.m. Not since. Okay. Yeah, and strong wind warning out into tomorrow. Yeah, so that strong wind warning for Bundy will be exactly what we talked about, right? That little trough that develops offshore with that little low. Yeah, that's the wrong model. Let me find the Access CC of these Queensland models. So this is why old Bundy's got a not a severe weather warning, a strong wind warning. So we're expecting this little low off the coast. There it is there, stuffing around. And on the western side of that, you could see some really strong winds. You can see Bundy sort of about the cutoff of those strong winds over the next 24 hours. Yeah, and then tomorrow, later in the day, as the low sort of drifts away further, it allows that southerly to push up. And so you see sort of 20 knots, 25 knots sustains, getting up to 30, 35s. But look, the big thing there to understand is that low is going to stay offshore, right? So it's not going to come onto the coast, and we're not going to see that huge rainfall on the coast. We should still see a few showers, especially before the south-southeasterly comes in. So still see some heavy shower activity through Bundy, but yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about the low itself coming into the area. Please tell me that Townsville isn't going to be wet all weekend. I have to move house. DD, yeah, I'm not going to give you good news if I can't, mate. Yeah, there's going to be some rain around Townsville. It's just a matter of how quick does that cyclone come back at us. All right, does it come back quickly, in which case it's going to be raining all weekend, or does it come back slowly, in which case we won't get heavy rain until maybe Monday or Sunday night Monday. So, yeah, there's still a little bit of a doubt about the timing, but I wouldn't be doing too much outdoor stuff on the weekend. Yeah, and the same goes for those folks in Charters Towers for the Goldfield Ashes. Now, is it going to wash out the Ashes? Probably not. Is there going to be some disruption? Yeah, probably. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Nitto, for what you do. I follow a few weather pages, but the last few days have shown me who I will be relying on 100% from here forward. You guys rock. And by the way, love your hair. Thanks. Not too many people who are 42 years old don't have, what's the name? Have hair. So it's one of my pride and joys. So thanks for noticing. A lot of men, once they turn 40, they're all baldies. And I like giving it to them, and they like giving it back to me because I look like a teenage lout. Cairns is muggier than a soggy sock tonight. Yeah, I'd imagine it is. Tash, massive thank you to you, Nitso, and the team. I honestly appreciate all you guys do. Your chats are always informative and so easy to understand. No bullshit, love it. Thank you. Pretty gross and humid here in Flaggy Rock. That's up around Cairns too, isn't it? Flaggy Rock. I think it might be. Thanks, Tash. Thanks for joining us tonight. And yeah, maybe a bit more rain to come for you guys as that cyclone moves back towards the coast. Steve Planty, we are short for our cricket team at the Ashes. No, mate, I work every single day. So my life is work every single day. There's no days off between October about 15 I start, and then no days off until April, probably about April 15. And then still no days off between April 15 and sort of start of May, but it's just sort of 1 hour a day stuff. And then I go off to Greece for a couple of months to enjoy the Greek islands and the beaches and my family and my friends and my Greek friends. I mean, I've got Australian friends too, but yeah. So that's my life, mate. So I can't spend 3 days at the Ashes as much as I'd love to. It's a friggin' great weekend. The Leichhardt range that feeds the Barattas in the Burdekin is another one that goes unmentioned. We found it peaked at 8.76 metres. Holy dooly. Wow. All right. Yeah. Good call there, Sky. Yeah, it's certainly not a range that I tend to talk about much myself, to be honest. That Leichhardt range. Yeah, you're right. Sean Woodman Burns. Thanks, Nitzo and team. Appreciate all you do. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for tuning in. What's happening here? Just joined. Christy, you'll have to go back and have a look, mate. Under the weather, Australia. Astrometeorology and planetary transits is what you need to study. Pineapple. Yep, I don't even know any of that stuff, man. And I've done meteorology at university, so we didn't do any of that. So I'll take your word for it. But it's not a field of study that I'm getting into. Crazy Luke. Will this system throw out some rain tomorrow towards the Gold Coast? I don't think the Gold Coast is in for a lot of rain. It certainly wasn't something I was flagging in my mind. Gold Coast getting rain. Which system are we talking about, mate? I think you mean, are you talking about the low here? Yeah, Crazy Luke, not Cyclone Koji. No, I wouldn't. Look, I think what you're going to get, because the low out here is going to be off the coast of southeast Queensland, so what you'll get here is a southeaster, right? And in that southeaster, there's always a chance that you're going to get a bit of squeeze on the south side of the low, but it's not a tropical air mass, so yeah, you're going to get a couple of showers, surely. Let's just make sure. But that tells me you're going to get a couple of showers. Yeah, you're going to get a couple of showers. You might get a little bit of light drizzle from that shit going on up north. Just really light. See that stuff that's on the radar on your screen right now? Like, yeah, really light drizzle. And then notice how that light drizzle is coming in from the north, and then see how this slightly heavier stuff is coming in from the southeast. So that's our little squeeze from the south side of that trough. And that'll turn into a low. So yeah, mate, I would expect to see a little bit of rain over the Gold Coast. Not something that you're going to be writing home to mum about, but it's going to be something. You know, a couple of showers. A couple of showers today, a couple of showers tomorrow. But there's no real colour on that chart. If we take a look at the AI, I can't imagine you're getting much rain. No, just a little bit of shower activity, bud. And southeasterly. It's a shit flow. Even if it gets squeezed, it's a shit flow. There's not enough moisture. It's sort of like a cold maritime air mass. And it's that crap that Melbourne gets. You know, after a cold front, when Melbourne gets that shit weather where it's cold and it's drizzly, that's what you're getting, mate. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it. It's easier to restock empty shelves. Yeah, I think it is, Selena. Any chance Cyclone drops down through the middle of Queensland? No, I don't think so, Damien. We would need... What would we need for that? The Cyclone to drop straight down through central Queensland to the south. I'm not seeing any evidence of that whatsoever. Let's have a look at our steering winds. Let's say the system's really weak. So we've got a little ridge here. Trough starts to amplify. Nah, see that trough's not... So the trough's coming up from down the southwest of the system. So if it does anything at all, it might actually pull the system directly east or maybe even east-northeast. So it doesn't really show much southerly motion. So if we were to see... Let me hypothetically think about this. If we were to see any sort of southerly motion, we'd probably need the trough to be back here, right? We'd want the trough to be back through Tennant Creek, Coober Pedy, that western area right there where my cursor is. You probably can't see it because there's a bunch of comments there. But that's where, if you wanted to see a southward motion, you'd want the trough amplifying there, not amplifying right underneath the system. Right underneath the system potentially will drive the system even slightly east-northeast, right? So it's going to do the opposite of what you're after. So for that to happen, you'd need the trough developing over central Australia, not southern Queensland. And pushing northwards or amplifying northwards from there. So that's the only way I could see a system tracking that way. And there's absolutely that ridge in WA, man, it's a monster. That thing's not going to allow a trough to just come through and eat it. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, I'd be shelving that idea if I'm in southern Queensland. That's for Damien. Steve, thanks, Nitzo. You pretty much nailed it in regards to Mackay and the Pioneer Valley from several days out. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, the problem with that one, Steve, was the centre. And this is the misconception a lot of folks had. They thought that, we got to look at the centre. We got to look at the centre. No, you don't. That was a shit cyclone. I would not be 100% shocked if they actually looked at the data again when they post-analyse this rubbish and go, you know what, this was just a low that produced cyclonic winds on its outskirts. I find it very difficult to justify, a cyclone, certainly on landfall. I mean, air was right next to the bloody thing, got 40 kilometre an hour winds. 40 kilometre an hour, right next to the centre of the circulation. How do you justify that? I don't know. All right. We got it in Mariba, says Lisa. Yeah, you got that little shower, that scuddy shower? Yeah. Yep. Sue, Claremont, wettest day. Yeah, wettest day in 110 years. Yep, thought it might have been. Yep. Jade, no, come on, mate. You keep asking me the same question there. Cyclone to hit Harvey Bay. No, see, this is the problem. Jade, you're a normie. You're a normie. Stop being a normie. Just listen to the data. Listen to the stuff I'm telling you. This is the stuff that then spreads, because someone's going to read that question and go, oh, shit, Nitso must have said cyclone to hit Harvey Bay. No, Jade, calm down, please. I'm gonna have a heart attack before you do. All right, just relax. No one said anything about a cyclone hitting Harvey Bay. Not a single person anywhere said anything about a cyclone hitting Harvey Bay. There is a low off the Brisbane coastline that's going to move away. 14U, that's the monster cyclone out in the eastern Coral Sea. At this stage, no evidence, not one skerrick of evidence anywhere at the moment. It's very early. At the moment, there is not one. You can't find me one bit of evidence anywhere, ever, in any part of meteorology, anywhere in the world right now, that is saying a cyclone is coming to Harvey Bay. Please, don't say stuff like that, because then other normies will see that and go, there's a cyclone coming. And then they'll share that shit. And then we get raked for it when we said nothing of the sort. All right? Please, Jade, just relax. The data will be more clear as we go. It's only early data right now. It will be more clear as we go. Jade, just give us a couple of days to get the data together. And then if there is a cyclone threat to Harvey Bay, we'll let you know if it's a fair income threat. But for now, there's not a single bit of evidence anywhere at all in the world that says Harvey Bay is getting a cyclone. I hope I've made that extremely clear for you, Jade. Welcome to Weather IQ. All right, Kate. Oh, Kate. Oh, is that a super chat? Oh, let me read the super chat. Thanks, Kate. Thank you very much. I'll make sure I answer these ones. I was so sorry. I forgot who that person was that sent me a super chat yesterday. I felt so terrible. I didn't see it. Kate, hey Nitso, have you ever thought about... Sorry. Hey Nitso, have you ever thought... Oh, Jesus, stop it. Have you ever thought about creating content in the off-season, cyclone history like Oswald that spun up? No, I haven't thought about it, Kate, to be honest. Just because I work every single day, and I work sort of anywhere from, an easy day is a 6-hour day, normal day is a 10-hour day, and then a big day could be 16 hours. And I don't have any break, so I try and have as much break as I can in that 4-month period between sort of May, June, July, August, and then I start thinking about the season ahead in September. So I don't really, but, if I got bored, it certainly would be a real interesting project to go back and have a look at those cyclones in the past. I mean, there's always a mental note with every cyclone that we track and trace and that we've chased. There's always that idea in your head about what it is, but sometimes your head fills up with so much stuff that you sort of forget them over time. And I think, things like that. I mean, there's always the bomb technical stuff, but it's maybe when I'm old and grey and I've got a little bit more relaxed time. I might try and do a memoirs of all the cyclones we've chased and maybe go back through history. It would be a really interesting project. I just don't want to overload. There's a certain work-life balance, Kate, and I get pretty stressed out at this time of the year because I'm working every single day, and I'm working from about 4 a.m. in the morning through to usually about 2, 3, and then if I've got to come back and do some evening stuff, I'll come back and do that as well. So it's and at the end of March, I just don't want to know anything about any weather anywhere in the world. And then a couple of months later, I'm like, itching to get going again. So maybe when I'm itching to get going again around June, July, maybe that's the time to think about doing something like that. But yeah, it's an interesting project. I wouldn't mind. Maybe doing like a video of the actual thing and why it would move the way it was, and then what effects it had, and some anecdotal reports, and maybe some photos and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it'd be a fairly large project, but it'd be pretty interesting. I probably couldn't do it myself because there's so much that goes into that, right? You've got to find the content. So I could do the meteorology of it, but maybe struggle. See, I struggle with all the graphics, right? So I'm not a graphic person. So yeah, for me, it's all about data, maths, physics, science. It's all about that. It's not about the glitzy, glamorous photos and stuff. So but I reckon if there were other people who were good at that and wanted to think about doing that, I wouldn't mind maybe looking into that. It's an interesting, Thanks for the question. It definitely made me think. Wayne, we had no downslopes last night, but did have some today. Yeah, we said that. We talked about that, Wayne. Nari, all good here. Didn't lose power. Ended up with 100 mils. Nice. 140. Hey, Nitso, we're staying in Rocky tonight, waiting for the road north to open. Yeah, I think the big rain Debbie for that area is done. Let's have a look. So Debbie's asking how much rain to go for that Rocky area, Rocky to Mackay. Let's have a look. Actually, we might centre ourselves in St. Lawrence so we get the best of both worlds there. So St. Lawrence will give us Rocky and Mackay in the one image. Yep. All right, so let's have a look. Yeah, so still a bit of rain going on through there at the moment. Yeah, just spotty showers and thunderstorms, and becoming sort of scattered showers and thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. I think there's a lot of moisture in the air though, so you could get a situation where there's a lot of moisture in the air, lots of potential for heavy localised falls. So of owning. Hey, so is there a chance of less rain? Well, I don't know about less rain, but there's still a chance for heavy rain tomorrow. But I can't imagine. I don't know what the state of the roads are at the moment, mate. But generally speaking, 20 to 50 mils over the course of the next 24 hours would be what I'd be expecting, with localised falls, not 300 to 400, but localised falls of maybe 100 mils around the place, just with those fairly dumpy, high moisture content showers and thunderstorms that just sort of dump on you. So there's still rain to come, but it's not crazy rain. It's not like that crazy stuff you had in Mackay the other day, or that 150 you had in the Rocky area the other day. Stephen, Nitso, I got accused of owning Weather IQ, dumbasses. Yeah, that's what they do, man. That's what they do, because you threaten their livelihood by calling their shit out. If you call their shit out, it threatens their livelihood, because they make money from the normies that panic and then start spreading bullshit. Suze McFlurry. No way. We used to work at Red Rooster together. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, that was my first ever job, and I stayed there for like 5 years. I was one of those people where if I made a commitment to a place to work there, I would try and stay at least 3 to 5 years at wherever I worked. Because they invest in me. They invest in me to train me, and I want to give back. That's so cool, Suze. That's awesome. Leone, what Greek islands should I visit this year? Oh, Leone. Oh, bud. No, I can't. We can't talk about this. I'll be here for hours telling you about the Greek islands, man. They're the most glorious part. They're the most glorious places in the world. Just incredible. Just what I'd say, Leone, I'll tell you two not to go to. The ones that everyone goes to. Mykonos. No, don't go there. It's expensive. It's overpriced, and it's rubbish. There's out of our islands, Mykonos is like, it's like, yuck. And maybe go to an island that's off the beaten track. One of my favourite islands in Greece is Lemnos. You won't hear much about it, but it's where the Anzacs, the Aussies, oh, it was so emotional too. It's where the Anzacs, it was their last port of call before they had to storm the Gallipoli, in the Gallipoli campaign, before they went to storm the shores of Gallipoli. Lemnos, and just go to that monument. Look, I get emotional talking about it. It's a really emotional, because I got heritage in both, right? I'm Greek and I'm Australian, and I feel a connection to both. And it was just really nice to hear about how the Greeks and the Australians were, so friendly and helped each other, and the Greeks would come and save the Aussies and take them back to Lemnos and treat them in the hospitals there. And yeah, it's just a really nice place, and it's a place that not many Aussies know about, but it's such an important part of Australian history, not just Greek history. So I reckon it's off the beaten track. You're gonna have to travel in a ferry for about 6 hours to get there, but it's a really nice island, and it's not too touristy, and you'll get a sense of the real Greece there. So Lemnos, and you'll feel a bit of that Aussie in there too. All right, I've just come on here, but is Koji coming back to the coast? Yeah, Bella, it does look like it's coming back, but tune into the first part of this broadcast. We talked about that. Been raining since yesterday afternoon around Rollaston. Rollaston. That's remind me, Central Queensland, yeah. Yeah, down here. Yeah, and we're expecting to see more, mate. We're expecting to see some. Yeah, so we got that big storm at through the big chance of storm activity tonight. Let's have a look what's going on down there. Oh yeah, it's happening right now. Yeah, so there's that storm right now over Rollaston. Yep, so you should be getting lightning and a bit of rain right now, mate. And the expectation over the next couple of days, I'd imagine, is still a chance for more. I wouldn't think there's anything changing. Yeah, so there it is there tonight. Overnight tonight, early tomorrow. Still a chance tomorrow morning of showers. Yeah, still a chance tomorrow of showers and thunderstorms through Rollaston. I mean, this is good, isn't it? You guys really need rain over at Rollaston. That Springshaw, Rollaston, Emerald area, man, you guys really need some rain. And look, I can't imagine it's a bad thing that you're going to get some more rain. Yeah. Bomb is telling me I'll get rain for Babinda in the next 10 days. Yeah, you'll get some rain over Babinda, yeah. Yeah, there'll be some showers at night. There'll be some of these scuddy showers coming through in the afternoons. Are you going to get huge rain? Probably not. Yeah. Will we get much at Mount Isa? No, at this stage, Kylie, if everything goes to plan, if everything goes to plan, this rainfall should be east of Mount Isa. The heavy rain should be east of Mount Isa. Yeah, so at this stage, that's what we'd be expecting. Bear, did you learn much from self-taught before you studied at uni? Or yeah, mate, I loved weather from the age of 6. The age of 6 was a big hailstorm in Sydney. It was... was I 5? 5. I was 5. 88. Hailstorm of 88 in Sydney. I still remember it, vivid as memory that still sticks with me now, 37 years on. It was just an incredible incredible experience where it was blue sky. I was playing soccer with all the other Greek boys of the neighbourhood. Sydney's got a fairly large Greek population, for those that don't know. And yeah, we were playing soccer in the street, and I just remember looking up at the sky, big fluffy cloud. Now I know what that is, right? And it just came out of nowhere, and then within 5 minutes, we had this massive wind. We all ran into our houses, and and then we had the roof of our house came off. I just remember the roof of our house, like it started to peel off. And I remember water started dripping into the house. And I just remember my mum crying, my dad just going crazy, not knowing what to do. And from that memory, I just fell in love with weather. I said, how the fuck can we go from blue sky, sunshine, to my house just being destroyed, or almost destroyed, the roof. When you're a kid, you catastrophize everything. But, you feel like everything just changed suddenly in your life in 10 seconds, it felt like. And from there, man, I loved weather ever since. You know what? That's what you need in the bomb. That's why the bomb are what they are now. They're a bunch of scientists with very little passion. You got to find that passion. You got to have that passion. If you're doing that job, you got to have that passion. Otherwise, what are you doing? What are you doing? Anyway, no cyclone coming to Harvey Bay. Yeah, I thought I made that very clear. I've always looked hard on YouTube for cyclone content of the past. Yeah, I have a 1984 almanac that has some weather for Townsville in annual amounts. Yeah, right, Katie. I think general weather probably wouldn't interest me, but event weather would definitely interest me. Bit blowy in Yeppoon. Yep, I'd imagine it is. We've got that east-northeasterly flow. Thanks, mate. Great info. Reading between the lines, Nitso, it sounds like you're starting a Cyclone OnlyFans in June. A Cyclone OnlyFans with Nitso on the beach. I'm going to have to get bigger guns, I think. That's made me laugh. That'll make my night, that one. Well done, Michael. Mark Sticky Richards. Yeah, Nitso, it's great. Thanks, mate. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Mark. Woohoo, thank you, says Kylie. No worries. Hey, Mr. D. He was my economics teacher at school, Ian Dietrich. Hi, Nitso, just a shout out from Mr. D. Teacher, colleague, and mate. Hey, Mr. D. So good to see you on one of my live streams. That's cool. Stephen, you can troll whoever you want, man. Just go nuts. They troll us. And Sarah, on your Nitso, what about the next one? Outback of this one. Of this one. Yeah, I'm not seeing a next one, Sarah. I'm seeing the big Coral Sea one, and I'm seeing Koji, which is going to come through basically Charters Towers, Townsville, or in that area, and come back out to sea over the weekend into early next week. I'm not seeing anything more behind it at the moment. So that might be a little bit clearer in a few days, but for now, that's the last one. All right. Thanks for joining me tonight, folks. I hope I've cleared up a few things. Just remember, everything we talked about tonight with those cyclones, it's all very preliminary, all right? So once they form, we have a better idea of what's going to happen. So we might come back Wednesday night and say, oh, hang on, there's a little bit of evidence that that Coral Sea one might be moving more westwards, all right? But for now, based on the evidence that we've got, there's that system's going to pass harmlessly out to sea. The Western Australian system's going to pass harmlessly out to sea. I don't expect any changes there ever. And then the Koji is more than likely going to move back over the east coast, but there's still a small chance that it can go out to Darwin as well, all right? So depending on how fast in the next 2 days it moves, by Wednesday night we'll have a really good idea at what it's going to do over the weekend, all right? It's just a matter of how fast does it move and how far does it move to the west in the next 2 days. If it moves too quickly, then yeah, Darwin becomes a real possibility for it. If it moves slowly, no chance for Darwin. It's all coming back this way.